Victor Pasmore, born in 1908, was perhaps the most influential abstract artist in Britain and became one of the leading abstract painters of our time. Goldmark Gallery is delighted to have recently acquired a large selection of these original signed prints. Dating from the mid-1970s to his death in 1998, these screen prints and etchings are of sublime subtlety. The power of Pasmore's line and form a testament to a career of experimentation and development, mastering his materials and interpreting our world in these beautiful abstract prints. Pasmore's mother was an amateur painter, an influence that doubtless helped grow his passion for art at Harrow School. There he was exposed to the French Impressionists and late paintings of Turner, major influences for the young painter. Pasmore painted in his spare time, renting his first studio in Devonshire Street, London, and attending evening classes at the Central School of Art. The sudden death of his father saw him taking up employment at London County Council, but this was not his world in any sense, and he left in 1937. Through the Bloomsbury Group, Pasmore met the influential art historian Kenneth Clark and was given his support and patronage. With fellow painters Claude Rogers, Graham Bell and William Coldstream, he set up an art school at 12 Fitzroy Street, and in 1938 they held their first show, 15 Paintings of London. This coincided with a move to Euston Road, and leading art critic Raymond Mortimer gave these British modern realists the obvious tag of the Euston Road Group. And back in Fitzroy Street, this time at number 8 in a studio once occupied by Sickert and Whistler, Pasmore devoted his time to both teaching and painting. The Second World War saw Pasmore marrying Wendy Blood, the subject of many of his paintings, and the birth of their 2 children. In 1947, Pasmore exhibited his first abstract paintings in a one-man show at the Redfern Gallery, the organic shapes he now painted clearly to be seen lyrically metamorphosing from the nudes he painted in the late 30s and 40s. By 1950, Pasmore became associated with the group of artists that had formed in St Ives, and the early 60s found Pasmore appointed as a trustee of the Tate Gallery, and his workings with printmaking, first with the Kelper Studios in London and later with the 2RC workshop in Rome, where their large press introduced Pasmore to the possibilities of working with large plates. 1965 saw a retrospective exhibition at the Tate, and in the following year his move to a house and studio in Malta, where he lived for the rest of his life until his death on the 23rd of January 1998. Pasmore's dramatic change of both work and thought processes later led leading art critic Herbert Reed to comment that this was the most revolutionary event in post-war British art. This still holds true. Pasmore's lack of proper art training meant that he had nothing to kick against as many of his contemporaries did. But the wartime exhibition of Picasso at the Victoria and Albert must have set him back on his heels, and to have his notions of abstract thought supported by Ben Nicholson, when the latter invited him to St Ives in 1950, must also have been pivotal, and important to him that Nicholson came from an older generation. It meant that Pasmore was perceived as an oddity on the contemporary art scene and a rebel in art education, but his work rapidly developed and proliferated outside of the narrow confines of accepted constructivism. For someone who embraced new ways of presenting his work, printmaking was a very logical extension. The experimentation with colour, so often reflecting the tints around him in Malta, combined with sometimes tense, sometimes lyrical lines threading their way through and often out of the compositions, even making their way right off the edge of the paper. Pasmore developed an arresting method in his graphic work by using special solvents directly onto varnished copper plates. The flows controlled for successive images until the final proofing produced stunning amalgams of large areas of colour. Apollinaire's comment on the work of Duchamp holds so true for Victor Pasmore. He uses forms and colours not to render appearances, but to penetrate the essential nature of form and colour. Victor Pasmore was one of Britain's greatest abstract artists. His original prints are now for sale at the Goldmark Gallery in Uppingham. To find out more or to buy works from this collection, please phone 01572 821 424 or visit www.victorpasmoreprints.com.